Hello everybody. In this video, I will show you how to add the real authentication to the application. We are going to be saving the usernames in Google Firebase database, and we are going to implement the connect with your Google account in order to register and authenticate to the app. So let's begin. As we leave it the last week, we actually have the flow working. We will try to go to the root. It will set up to register, to login, or we can actually register. And we have the different validations when the sign up or the login are not working until you have a valid email and password. Also the sign up method, just a button with the Google account. Actually what I'm looking right now is I have a typo there. So let me fix that just before the sign up where it says it's supposed to say. That's going to be my register. I look for my Google, this one, and here's my typo, and I save it. And let me actually push it, but let me push it through code instead of doing it through the application. So if I do a G status, I have something modified. I can see the modification with G difference. In that show me that I removed this line and added this one, pretty much change the H to an N. If I click Q in your keyboard, you get up from that, so I can actually git add everything, or you can actually just select one particular file, like git add that particular file, modify it. If I do G status, that file is already staged, so it's ready to be committed. So let me actually git commit -m for message, and I will put fix sign typo. So that's already committed. If I do a G status now, I see that your branch is ahead of my origin master by one commit. So let me actually push it to have it in my GitHub. I can do just a simple git push -u origin master. It's going to be sent. And if I do a G status, we're okay. There's just another way to handle Git through the command line. So use whatever is better for you. If you like more the application by itself with the source control section, or you like a little bit more through the command line, whatever is better for you guys. Well, let's actually continue. Let me just refresh this. Yes, my change was there. Perfect. So what we did actually is we implemented the Vuex commands, or the Vuex actions that are going to be executed at different mutations that are going to change our stage and allow us to actually go through the application. So we are going to handle that, and for that we are going to be using Firebase. Here you go. So we're going to go to firebase.google.com. They have a really free tier, so we actually don't need to pay anything for the things that we need to do. So the free tier have a 10,000 authentication per month, and other authentication services are actually available, and we have some information that we can store, and we have like really good specs for starting. So it's what I'm actually going to be doing. I will need you to go and register with your Google account. If you don't have one, please create a new one because we will need it. And after you log in, you will go to the console. So let me go to the console. You will land something like this. I already have a project added. So this was actually my test project before doing this video. But you're going to need actually to create a new one. And let's actually go to the process. So you create a new project and we call it Super Awesome App. You can actually remove this. We do application. Oh, it looks like it's working. Application. Oh, Super Awesome application. Perfect. You will add the Google Analytics. Just enable by default. Continue. Actually, because I have several errors, let me actually remove the Google Analytics. Let's leave it like that. And let's wait for the project to be created. This will pretty much have our console and a layout for Firebase. But you will ask me, well, what is actually Firebase? Firebase from Google is a way to build applications fast. It has a cloud Firestore. It's like a database on the cloud. It's real time. It has some machine learning platform. You can do some serverless thing, authentication, hosting, storage. It has pretty cool things that we can use in our application. But right now we're going just to focus in the authentication piece. And that's the one that we're going to be building through Firebase because it's actually really easy to implement. And I want to show you that. So when your project is ready, we continue. We're going to get adding an application. So let me add an application, and it's going to be a web app without the Firebase hosting. We are not using that right now. So we register application. So as you can see, we can actually have a project, go with it, and then an application. Well, you can add application because you can have the same database serving to your web application, serving to your Android application, serving to your iOS application, or any other application that you want to add on top of that, that you see the same information that you're storing here. So you can have several levels of access to different applications. In our case, we are just using one, the web application that we are building. And it will give you this information. The only things that we're going to be needing is our Firebase configuration. And that's it. So let me actually leave it like this here. And we are going back to our application. So before we continue, we need to be understanding something else. Let me actually talk about that. And I have it here. Environment variables. So as you can see here in Firebase, they give me a lot of secret keys, authorization domain, database URL, project ID. This information is actually secret. It should not be shared to anywhere, and actually it should not be in your Git repository. This need to be away from that. So you need to keep it separate where you actually save your code. And how to do that, we can actually save those as environmental variables that our application is going to use. So we know that a variable is a value that changes over time depending on the assignation that we're going to be doing. And for our applications, we have several of those variables already there. For example, we have the valid is actually a false by default, email is empty, and go on and go on. But those could be called like local variables. And then we have the variables that actually came from the store. Those ones are from the, actually those ones are in the router, I believe. Yes. So we're getting, the get is logging in getter from the store. So those actually like application level variables, we could say like that. But the environmental variable is something that goes outside the scope and not listed here. And we need to be saving those and be able to access those, but it should not be in your repository. Why not? Because it's a common practice not to have passwords or secret keys in there. So there is actually a way to save those, and those are going to be to the environmental variables handling for Vue.js. So by default, when we run the serve, we run the application development mode, and when we build it, we are running the application in production mode. So different modes are actually going to be working there. And we just need to create a different file depending the case. So environmental file is like the normal way you save all your environmental, but if you add the local, it's going to be ignored by Git. And this is actually what we want. That way the application is not going to be uploaded to GitHub. In this case, that means that you need to create this application, you need to create this secret every time that you go, whenever you go. So let me actually create those, and I will create, actually let's do it through here. If I'm in the super as an app, I can actually put code and put dot environmental dot local, and I just save it, and this will create an environmental local file. So in here we can start adding and saving the information that we need. So that variables that we need to be, you need to have the view underscore app underscore prefix in order to be accessible in our application. That way we can actually access the application through the process environmental variable and the environmental variable name. It looks complex, but let me actually show you how it is. So let's copy pretty much this from API key to API ID, and let's save it in our environmental variable file. So we need to actually, the API key is going to be called view app underscore API key, going to be equal to the information that Google gave us, removing the comma, that's really important. So this was going to be view underscore app underscore authorization domain. It's a best practice to have the environmental variables in uppercase. And we just move on with the rest. The database URL, the project ID, the storage bucket, let's do it like empty. Actually, storage box, you need to have an equal there. Application ID. So we have the variables there. So that should be enough in order to make it work. In order to use it in our application and connect to Firebase, we need to install Firebase. So we just type yarn add Firebase and click enter. And that will download the package that we actually need and prepare to have it. So as you can see, let me show you something. We go to the source control page. We saw that the package JSON changed because we added Firebase. the yarn log too, because you say, well, I installed this version of Firebase, but the environmental variable file is not there. That means that is not being tracked. As you can see also in the document, it's like grayed out. And this is grayed out because we have a file there called git ignore. This file have a bunch of files and names that need to be ignored. As you can see, the .environmental.local is listed. That's why it's getting ignored and it's not being tracked by Git. This is a really good practice in a real world scenario, how to save your application. So let's actually continue. So we have Firebase installed and we have the environmental variables already there. So we just need to go to the main application and we need to import Firebase. In order to import, it's going to be import Firebase from Firebase /application. This will pretty much retrieve the Firebase information that we need, and then we just need to create a new object. That object is actually this one, Firebase config file. So we can actually copy this one, Firebase config file, and paste it here. It's actually after view get mounted. But instead of saving this, what we're going to do process does environmental dot view app API key, because we save the value of the API key in the view app API key variable, and we do that with the rest without the quotes. Process environment dot view app authorization domain, database URL, project ID without the quote. This doesn't make sense because it's empty, but just for best practices and consistency, let's actually put it. The storage bucket, the messaging sender ID, and the application ID. We saved. So we have the Firebase imported, the Firebase configuration. We just need to initialize Firebase. The documentation says that we just run this command. Now let's put it here. That way we initialize Firebase with the configuration. Cool. Now we can start using this. So now that we have this information imported, let's continue to the console. And we have the several elements that we can use in the app. The more important and the one that we've been using is going to be authentication. So in there, we're going to have the list of users. Right now, we don't have any users in our application, but we need to sign up for a sign-in method. And we can actually provide like a bunch of those. We can have the email password. We can actually authenticate through the phone. We can authenticate through Google, to Facebook, Twitter, Microsoft. We have several authentication methods. So let's actually start with the email password. That's pretty much the basic one. And we are going to disable the password link. That's another way. So let's actually save it. And we need to add a domain. So by default, we already have our local host. Remember, always add your application. So in your domain, in my case, it's rollfroman.site, because sooner or later I will deploy. So I just put it there just to have it in place. Perfect. Now that I have my authentication, actually go to the documentation. So the first thing that I need to do, get started for the web and look for the authentication methods. The different ways that we can actually use here to be implemented. So let's look for register user. So we need to install the Firebase SDK. We're going to use the authorization properties and create a user with email and password and sending those email and password. It's pretty common, it's very simple actually. So let's work on those. So we are going to go back to our code. And the best way to have those actually is going to be in our store. Here we go. In here we have the different methods that we have been using. We have the user object, the isLogin object, and from there we have the mutation and the actions to do something about it. So the property to actually go from here to Google, get the information that you need to happen through the actions. So right now we are setting the using for sign up is a fake user. So what we need to do is actually send the real user object. So let me go through the register ones where we saving. We have the validation already in place and we have the different models, right, for the name, email and password there. So when we call the sign up, you're going to be sending a user object, and this is going to be username, sorry, email is going to be this .email, and let's actually do it like a new line. So we can do a comma here. And when let's do password, it's going to be this.password. And we're going to save the name of the user. And let's show you how to do that later with this dot name. So where we created, we dispatching a sign up, we are sending the credentials that we need to sign in. That way, in our store, let me actually open the store. In the sign up method, we're going to have the context and the payload. This payload is going to be pretty much the information from the user. So when we're committing the set user, we're going to set that information from the payload. We're going to import, in order to do the authentication, Firebase from Firebase app, and then on top of that, just because Firebase actually required, we're going to import also the Firebase authorization element. That will add the authorization that we need to Firebase. Why? It's how actually Google have it. So let's import those there. And then over here, when get the payload, we are pretty much doing this. Let's call an async function outside the element, and let's call async const register equal async. Are we going to be sending the how we can call it? Let's actually call it the new credentials or the data. To be async, we want to be sending the data, and it will do a specific function. So in here, you want to say if data dot email and data dot password, that means that we are validating if that information exists. And let's actually put that on data dot name. So if this exists with this one and this one, we can proceed. So if that information is there, we want to create a signup element. So let's create the signup element that's going to be an await. We do asynchronous here, called Firebase.authenticate. And how we call it is actually, yes, this. Dot Firebase and the data email and with the data password. So we create the signup element, and that signup will return with information if it was successful or not. So from here, we can actually establish if signup.user exists, we can actually have it like that. Then we do something else. We want to alter the profile. And how we can do that? Let me actually go to Firebase, look for update profile. Update profile. There you go. So when you have a user already selected, you can call the update profile, and you can select like photo URL, display name, things like that. So in this case, we can actually have, if signup user exists, we want to pretty much show it to the signup user dot update profile, and we call the display name to be the data name. That way we're going to be saving that. Cool. From here, I actually have an element. Let's go to a website that I like, flaticon.com. Let's get a traditional user object. And let's actually get this one. Yes, I like it. Let me download the PNG format. It's going to be called user PNG. It's going to be my download folder. Perfect. So that can actually, you can just copy and paste it in your public folder. In my case, it's going to be, I can do it through here, so I can do copy from my download user PNG and save it in my, actually save it in my public folder. You go to my public folder, I have my user icon there. Perfect. You can actually use your Windows Explorer and copy and paste it and put it inside your public folder, and that should be fine too. So let me close it. And why I'm doing that? Because I want to have the photo URL, and it's going to be pretty much, and we do the backlit here, and we put a variable. It's going to be this dot $ router. Remember, the router and the store are doubly available with the $ in the this element inside the application. And in this case, actually, I'm doing it wrong because I'm inside the store. So I need to import my router. So here I'm exporting the router. So in my store, I just need to import router from my router file. The store and the router are in the same directory, so I can do something like this. And from that, I can do my router dot options dot base. That's going. This is like a property like the base URL, and we'll take my user.png file. So pretty much we are giving like the URL for the picture. This is going to be your local host, or when you deploy to your site, it's going to be your name.site or your website.com, or whatever you're actually deploying. This variable will get that information to you. So that way we actually change the photo URL. So now that we do that, and we are waiting for the sign up user to get updated, we can actually return the sign up user. Perfect. And we're not handling errors right now, but let's just wait a little bit. So if we do that, we can actually do sign up could actually be asynchronous, and we do user cons user, actually it's called new user, is going to be equal to this dot to register, my register property that we have it here, and we're going to be sending the data. That's pretty much my payload. And because it's asynchronous, let's actually wait for that. So my new user is going to be that, and when I return the user object, I just set my set user to this new object. Perfect. So I set my user, and then I dispatch my login, and my login will be pretty much changing my is login to true. Let's actually see if this is working. So we need to actually, just in case, I will restore my server, so I cancel it and do yarn serve again. There you go. Meanwhile, let's go to my console. We go to the users, we don't have any user for this project, so we are doing fine. So I refresh my page. Okay. So what I actually can do is Rodolfo Roman. I put my South Texas College email. And let me put in my password. And let me sign up. Okay. That should have been working. If you go through here and go refresh, it didn't work. Let's inspect the element and let's see if we have an error. Oh. Well, this is pretty interesting. Let's actually troubleshoot. So we know that we send the object, this email, this password, this name. That's pretty much this email, this password, and this name. Yes. When do the sign up? Let me actually just do a console.log and let's put registering from component. And let me copy this from the mustache and I can do another console.table that. Let me save it. So I can go to my register with my console open. Let me try to log in again. Sorry, to Texas College.edu. My password. Sign up. So I'm doing that. I'm sending my information with my super strong password in there. And I know that I'm sending the correct information. Cool. But we have an uncalled exception. So that means, let me remove this. I know that the sign up from my component is actually sending the information. Let me see if my store, my dispatch, is actually getting it. So this is going to be dispatch the sign up and console log inside action, and I will be doing a console table my payload. Let me go to register again. Let's do stc.edu. I know it's going to be failing. TC doesn't exist actually, just to type it out quickly. Okay. So we are inside the action and we know that we are sending the correct information. Okay, so that's fine. So what is happening? Let's copy this and paste it here because the next thing is going to be the register. I'm going to inside register function and we're going to print my data. It should be the same as my payload. So I save it. I try to register. It's been sent. So inside my action, I have the correct information and inside the register function I have my correct information. So right now it's fine. So probably this section. Let's do an else here. Else console.log cannot read object data. We know the data has been printed, so this should be fine. So we are not getting that. That means that we are not this else. It's actually going inside. So more likely is here. Let's do a try catch. And let's send this one to our try. Actually, let's send all this to the try. And let's console.log my error. Why didn't like it? Oh, let me just cancel this. Let me do my try catch again. And I actually need to move all these lines inside my try. And console.log my error. Let me remove this from here. They don't need to be there anymore. And this two, because I know those actually working. Just to clean up a little bit. So let's do it again. Okay. Ooh, my API key is invalid. That's why it didn't working. Let's verify that. So let's actually go to my main.js. So view. Here you go. Look at this. Look at this. I have a typo here. So this needs to be view application. In order to get it, need to start with view underscore app underscore and the name. And I have an A instead of E. So let's save it. Let's change that to this one. Let me restart my server. We need to restart because we changed the environmental variables, so that way it doesn't catch up when you need to actually do a restart. And let's try again. So we register. Rolf Roman. Let me actually put my email now. Let me sign up. Invalid API key. Didn't like it. Why didn't like it? Okay, didn't like it. Let's do some changes. We have my environmental variable file here. Let me remove this. Let me see actually without the quotes works. Let me save it. Let me cancel it. Let me start over. Let me refresh it to verify they actually get the new information, and let's try again. Let's sign up. Ooh, we have another kind of issue. Now it's not complaining about the API key. So let's actually go in here, refresh. There you go. We have the new user created. Something went wrong, it's not working as it's supposed to, but the user was created right now. Perfect. So let's see what actually happened now in co-exception. And that probably could be in our store. That means we know that this one works. So this one didn't. Okay. Let's see what we can do about it. So actually I believe it's this one. Let's do another try catch here. So let's do try catch, and let's move all this in this new try catch, and let's do console.error. So console.log the error. But because now it works, we need to delete the user. Delete the account in order to try to use the same one. Perfect. So let's try. We can register with Rodolfo Roman. Let's put my really strong password in there. It's doing something, but it's not doing everything. Let's go to view. Let's actually go to Vuex, load my state, and we see that its login is true, and my user is there. Ooh. So it's actually working, and it's saving my user where it's supposed to. So we have the issue somewhere else. So we have this one, display name. You know what? It looks like they didn't like the photo URL. I don't see that element. I see my display name, but my photo URL is not there. So this is actually the user object, and this is the display name that we changed it. So that's why it's getting messy, because wait, we dispatched the login, and the login is committed logging in, and the status logging in is just set into true. Interesting. Interesting. Because we can see that its login is equal to true, But why is that work? Oh, I get it now. If I remove this, it was as simple as that. Let me show you what it is. So we are setting the user, we're dispatching the login in, but we are not doing something really important here. When we log in, we need to actually send you to the root that we want to see. So let's actually router push to here after you log in. Let's see if that works. So let me refresh it. My state, let me load it. User is null, I'm not logging in. Okay, it's what I wanted. Let me go to my Firebase to get my users and delete the current user. And let's try to register again. We sign up. Perfect. This is the main feed. So we set in the user and we are logging in. We did what we're supposed to. Let's change a little bit the logic here because I just getting something. So let's dispatch the login and we are going to send the new user there. Let's remove this commit from here. We are going in the login, we have the context and my payload. My payload, we know this is going to be the user. We're going to send it through here. And before actually commit the login in, we're going to do the context commit the user with the payload. Very much. And didn't like it. Why didn't like it? Oh, context. There you go. So we're just changing the logic for the user to here. Why? Because we are doing login in. We're going to set the user to the payload. That's pretty much what we're doing. So I believe that's everything for registering a user. So what we did is we create a user and we were able to actually send that user to the login. Next phase is going to be actually logging through the application with this particular user. See you in the next video. So before actually finishing the video, I just was remembering that we didn't commit our changes. So let me actually commit those, and I will it's already staged. Let me commit it as register to Google done. And let me put email password. We're still missing the one using the Google credentials. So let me commit it like that, and let me push it. Perfect. And that's it for this video. Happy coding, everybody.